What's up, fight fans? I'm Jay Cotto, and welcome to the first ever movie review. And today we'll be reviewing Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say that it's very obvious with this movie that they are trying to phase out the old and in with the new. I will get into that shortly. Would like to thank everybody for joining me, and of course we're all fight fans, but at the same time we love our goddamn movies. Now, I just want to say with this, moving into this review, me as an old school Star Wars head, watching it all the way from the beginning, being born a year after, and it being in the movies, and just basically me seeing it at such an early age, and following it all the way along with my pops, may he rest. And I tell you right now, man, Star Wars has brought a lot to us, a lot of things that we carry on in life, and I just basically love Star Wars. Now, the thing here with this movie, let's start with the prequels. The prequels, a lot of people don't like, I could agree Jar Jar Binks was very fucking annoying. This is the problem with Star Wars, that they usually put annoying characters that have nothing to do with anything, but at the same time they do, It all started with the Ewoks, in Return of the Jedi. A lot of people back then were like, oh, what is this silly shit, But at the same time, you have to understand, there are other inhabitants to other planets and the surroundings and environments, and there will be different species. So you have to go into these movies with an open mind. And it took me a while to watch Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. I had to watch these things about 4 or 5 times in order for it to fit in. And those that are saying that, 1, 2, and 3 were garbage, and you have to respect it. You have to respect it simply because it links everything up into what's going on now, especially with the Rogue One. Now, these little side stories that they have, I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant because it answers a lot of questions as to what happened in between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. And we got it. Actually, what happened between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And we got it. Sorry, had to correct myself. So now that we have this all into play, and when you actually sit down and look at everything that built up to this, it was well done. But I have to agree with certain things now into this review with The Last Jedi. Okay. Now, I have to agree with certain, people that are saying that this was sort of like shades of feminism, and I can understand that. The way the society and everything's going, I can understand that. But I didn't see that too much. Rey basically is the heroine of the story. They're going to give her that push along with other female characters. Princess Leia has always been the heroine no matter what. She's, the top woman there all the time. It is what it is. The thing I didn't like is, first of all, let's get into the romance between, not the romance between Poe and the Asian girl. I forgot her name. I tell you right now, okay, there's going to be love interest. A lot of people are asking, what happened with, with him and Rey? And I guess they're very good friends. They did save each other's lives. They went through. So a lot of people got mixed feelings and mixed signals as to, oh shit, wait a minute. Rey likes Finn. Finn likes Rey. No. This is a very strong friendship. There are friendships in my life, and I'm only showing your lives that, you have a female friend who's opposite sex, and you want to see her really bad. And when you do, you get all jittery because you're like, oh shit, man, there's my buddy, right? That's what it is, Paul Dameron basically is a replacement for the Resistance to have the best pilot since, Han Solo's gone. So he takes up that role, sort of, and he does that. R2D2, C3PO, of course, these are the comic reliefs and, our favorite droids. You know, Princess Leia, I had a feeling that she always had the Force. This was shown in Empire Strikes Back a lot, especially at the end when Luke was hanging off from Cloud City, one of the disposal units, the antennas, and he reached out to Leia. And Leia read him and told Chewie and Lando, we have to head back. And they picked Luke up. Now, it's amazing on how they actually showed her using the Force in the space vacuum. Now, let's hold that for 1 minute there. Princess Leia, right? Species human, has just triggered like the highest level of the Force that she can possess. Let's just hold that there. Now let's go now to Ahch-To, right? Where you have Rey and Luke trying to find the Force. At first Luke is resistant because he's just shut himself out completely of everything, and he still blames himself, and he's going through the hardships of, and losing the Jedi Academy, and it didn't surprise me that Luke wanted to strike his own nephew down simply because he's seen the evil in him. He wanted to end it right then and there, but that didn't happen. So now it comes to the part where they're on this planet. Okay, and the Porgs, they're cool, man. They're cool little guys. They weren't as annoying. Now, you got Luke Skywalker who's trying to find himself all over again. And when he does, it just goes straight to this awesome scene where he projected himself from that planet to where the Rebels and Empire were fighting. And I tell you right now, man, I don't think Luke Skywalker is dead. I don't think he's dead. Regardless, he looked at the sunset, he was too weak, and he disappeared in his robe. Listen, he had the wills. He had the Journal of Wills, right? He had the Book of Wills, right? Which has every Jedi technique, everything, right? I think Luke has learned a lot from this, and I think the part where he shut himself out from the Force, I think he also learned so much that it scared him to a point that he just felt like failure. He was like, oh, God, this is a lot to learn on things that have been happening, and all this I just can't, and people have died because of me, and so he just wanted to go around and just basically keep everything away from life that contained anything that had to do with the Jedis. Now, the Book of Wills, I think Luke has learned on how to go into a projection, right? To project himself. And since his age, and I think all he did was he just disappeared for the moment. Sort of like, remember what happened? Let's go to Watchmen for a second. Remember what happened to Dr. Manhattan? He had to regenerate himself at certain stages. It took a while, but he had to right. So I think this is what's happening with Luke. I think Luke used the Force to a point where he's just got to recharge his battery. So since he used all his concentration, he was old as well, and he hasn't used the Force in a long time. Well, this is what happens now. I think that he will show up in episode 9. He will definitely show up. I don't think he's going to show up as a Force ghost. I think what Luke has achieved is what was told to Anakin about life or death, resurrecting, creating life. I think Luke has learned all of this, and I think he is just drained to the point where he, at the same time becoming one with the Force, has the ability to come back. We don't know what's in those journals. We don't know what he's read, but this is something that, unless you've read, Star Wars books and side series, you will not know that this is a very high power. And Luke actually projected himself. I thought that was badass. But what I didn't like about this is this whole movie is questions have not been answered. Now, this is just a theory. I don't want anybody getting crazy or calling me an asshole or anything like that or getting out of hand simply because it's just a theory. And we're just talking movies here. But I think that Luke Skywalker will be back. Not as a Force ghost, but I think as in human form, able to manifest himself into spiritual guidance as well. Basically what the projection was doing, I think he can do that now. And I'm just saying, I am just speculating. I may be wrong, but I'm just speculating. Now, what I'm saying here is I think they're going to use Luke again, as well as Princess Leia using the Force in the space vacuum. I think she also achieved something that she knew she had in her. I think she always knew that she can use the Force, but the problem here is we've never seen it. We can't do side stories with their likenesses, and I mean we could with computer generated, graphics and stuff, but we don't. We wouldn't. It wouldn't be the same, right? So I think what they're going to do is they're going to use the rest of the footage that they had for this episode 8 for episode 9 with Carrie Fisher. I think they're going to do that, and they're going to send her off correctly. Now, all around this movie, I would have to say was good, but not excellent. A lot of people are throwing this movie under the bus. I just wouldn't do that just yet until I saw and waited for episode 9, which should be in 2020, right? Now, J.J. Abrams is going to be at the helms. Now, let's see what he can do. Because now the big responsibility as to answering every Star Wars fanatic's questions that started from The Force Awakens all the way to here now. Well, he's got a lot of work to do. And I just hope that the last one closes off and just answers every question that we have about Luke, about Leia, about Snoke. I also felt that this movie was a bit rushed. Okay, they must have had a year and a half to work on this. There are certain things in the storyline that could have went, hardcore, but I guess they didn't. So I'm more than sure that episode 9 is going to answer all the questions, and I have a feeling that we will see Jedi Master Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, once again. I really do. I really, really do. So, there was my Star Wars Episode 8 review for you guys, the first ever. And peace to Red Fox. Peace to everybody out there who's a Star Wars head and a movie goer. Yeah. Otherwise than that, fight fans. My name is Jake Otto. Thank you for joining this movie review. God bless. Stay vigilant. Peace.